Good evening, my name is Ona Papagiorgio, and today I'm going to discuss with you my tool analysis for the simple canning lid. It's been around for over 100 years, so the question is, can you teach an old dog new tricks? When I talk canning, I'm not talking about what you purchase at the grocery store. This is home canning. More specifically, it's a slightly concave steel disc that is coated and has an elastomeric around the edge to eventually form a hermetic seal with glass. Because the process of canning requires you to fill a glass jar and then add the lid and boil. This is important because whatever material is used must be tolerant to high heat. Here's the glitch. The current canning lids can only be used once. They're used, pile up, and disposed of. Hopefully they're recycled, but 55 to 75% of Americans recycle, so often they do end up in a landfill. So we want to improve those odds, but we also want to see our additional materials. Do we want to review additional materials? And to do that, we want to do a little bit of LCA screening and impact assessment on the current lid. So we evaluate a few items, and what I did find was yes, there were health impacts, social impacts, resource depletion, and high energy consumption associated with the lid. So yes, let's look at some alternatives. High heat plastic was my first alternative. It's great. It can be reused. It requires one extra part, so maybe that's a little complicated, but it also, the manufacturing requires some toxic chemicals. That can be seen as a slight negative. My second option was glass. Just like high heat plastic, that can be reused. That's a big positive. Requires two extra parts, but also the manufacturing of glass is very intensive and could projectile us into the air emissions category of Title V because it does generate so many air emissions. Even with these high intensive manufacturing processes, these had less of an environmental impact because they can be reused. But the problem is high heat plastic is 10 times more expensive and glass is 40. So given my clientele, which will be a frugal person, I decided to stick with the metal. And we're going to look at a few results of my evaluation and how we will handle each of the issues. First one, bisphenol A. This is in the coating. We eliminate the current coating that we use and we replace it with an oleo resin, which is a natural plant extract. This is a proven technology, so it's just a different coating. Going along with that, another thing that's in the coating is tin. With eliminating the current coating and replacing it with oleo resin, we get rid of our conflict mineral. So this takes care of our social issue. Now, we want to start looking, to address the other issues, the other identified issues, we want to look at the life cycle. This is the basic life cycle. This is probably what you would have seen 40 years ago. We want to expand on this and bring it to the present. So now, by expanding, we add consumer reuse, we add some recycle streams. That's pretty good. Now, we want to focus on the recycle streams that I've highlighted. And by doing this, by focusing on recycle and reuse, we're going to take a two-pronged approach. First, we're going to generate incentives for our customers to send back their lids, and when they do send back their lids, they will get a coupon off for a future purchase. The second thing we're going to do is in-house. We're going to make sure that 95% of the steel that's used is recycled steel. So this is our two-pronged approach. Showing the life cycle in a different way, we can see our inputs. Right off the bat, you can see mining takes 6 times more energy than just the steel processing. So by using the recycled materials, we're eliminating that energy hog. Now taking a look at the outputs, we see there's some waste heat. There's some waste scrap steel. Waste heat we'll reuse and we'll send back to our spray technology for the coating, for the oleo resin. And the scrap steel will just be recycled into steel. So looking back at the entire project, we've assessed some environmental impacts. We've looked at our regulations, we've made some design improvements, We've addressed environmental pollution, health risks, and social impacts. And what's the result? Well, we didn't use the alternatives, but we did give the existing product a green facelift. And while the alternatives were great, it's also got to be marketable. And it wasn't. So thank you very much for your attention.